Welcome to the Deep Dive. We explore legacies, minds that really change how we see the world. Today, it's Steve Jobs. His philosophy. It still shapes so much, doesn't it? Technology, innovation, even just how we think. We're going beyond the products here, trying to get to the core of his thinking.
Yeah, and for this deep dive, we've got something pretty unique. An imagined interview, but one that really captures his voice, his ideas. It gives us this incredible insight into his perspective. Innovation, design, life. It's all in there. So our mission really is to distill that for you, give you a shortcut to understanding the principles behind, well, one of the most influential people of our time. Think of it like getting the essence straight from the source.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Apple. Now this global giant, but it famously started in a garage. What was really driving Jobs back then, in those early days? Was he thinking, I'm going to build the world's biggest company?
It's fascinating, actually. He explicitly said, no, that wasn't the goal. Building the most valuable company, that wasn't it. His drive was much more personal. He just wanted to create something he would love to use himself. Simple as that. He talked about it being just two kids building something they wanted to exist. And right there, you see this core belief. Technology could be beautiful, could be simple, personal. It was about passion first.
That feels so different from how computers were seen back then, clone machines, right? Utilitarian. But Jobs had this kind of poetic idea, a bicycle for the mind. What did he really mean by that?
Oh, it's a total shift in thinking. Yeah, computers were seen as cold machines for nerds or corporations. That was the perception. Jobs just rejected that outright. He saw them as tools, sure, but tools to expand your potential. It wasn't just about function. It was about creating not just a tool, but an experience. So for Apple, it was never really about the specs, the gigabytes, It was always about making technology feel human, that idea. It fundamentally changed things. Our whole relationship with tech.
Making technology feel human, that's powerful. But how do you actually do that? How do you design that into circuits and software, making a device feel like it understands you instead of just obeying commands?
He put it quite simply, actually. He said, most companies ask, what can technology do, right? At Apple, we asked, what will people feel? And that changes everything. See, for him, design wasn't just looks, the aesthetics. It was fundamental. How it works and how it makes you feel while using it. The whole goal was to strip away the complexity, remove the frustration, until what was left felt, well, almost natural, effortless. That's why people connect with Apple products that way, why they feel like they understand them. It's almost empathy built into the engineering.
And, that insight, prioritizing the human feeling, that goes way beyond tech, doesn't it? I mean, whether you're designing a service or even just giving a presentation, thinking about the experience.
Exactly. It's a universal principle, really. How does it feel for the person on the receiving end?
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Another famous Jobs trait, his dismissal of market research. In today's world, that sounds, well, almost crazy. Everything's data-driven. How did he justify that?
He was completely unapologetic about it, just flat out said he didn't care about market research, surveys, spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And his reason was, well, it was profound in its simplicity. People don't know what they want until you show it to them. Think about the iPod, the iPhone. He'd say, nobody asked for the iPod. Nobody demanded an iPhone.
Right.
He believed the real magic was in anticipation needs, showing people something they didn't even know they were waiting for. It boils down to, you must trust your intuition more than the data if you want to create something truly groundbreaking. It's not about ignoring data completely, maybe, but daring to lead instead of just following the numbers.
But that's a huge risk, isn't it? Trusting intuition over hard data. What did he say about that? About when your gut feeling, well, when it's wrong?
He tackled that directly. His answer was basically, then you learn. You fall, you get back up, and you try again. He truly believed that the worst thing is not failure. It's never daring at all. Setbacks weren't the end. He even talked about being fired from Apple, called it painful but necessary. That period led to NXT and Pixar, which he saw as his preparation for the second act at Apple. So failure, it was just feedback, something to learn from, not be ashamed of, a stepping stone.
That really reframes it. It suggests that sometimes the hardest things, the biggest setbacks, they might actually be what you need. They can be catalysts for your best work. Getting knocked down isn't the end, just a detour that builds something in you.
Precisely. Resilience, perspective.
So, okay, he goes through all that, fired, builds new companies, then comes back to Apple, which was struggling, right? Well, what was his first move? What was the immediate focus when he stepped back in?
One word, focus. That was his immediate thought. He looked around and saw Apple making dozens of products, most of them mediocre, spread too thin. So his direction was crystal clear. We're going to do only a few things, but we'll do them insanely great. And he clarified what simplicity meant to him. Not just doing less, but doing what matters most and doing it better than anyone else.
Wow.
That ruthless focus, that's what led to the iMac, the iPod, iPhone, iPad, all born from cutting away the non-essential.
And that commitment, that insanely great standard, it led to this reputation for intense perfectionism, for being, well, incredibly demanding. How did he see that intensity himself? How did he justify it?
He explained it came from caring deeply about the details. It wasn't arbitrary. He used this great analogy of a carpenter making a beautiful cabinet. Even if nobody sees the back, the craftsman knows if it's done right. That's integrity. And he demanded that level of care from everyone because, as he saw it, when you settle for less, you teach your team to compromise. And for him, compromise is the enemy of greatness. So the intensity, he said, it came from that deep caring, not just wanting to be difficult.
Right. And he also famously said Apple was never a tech company, which sounds odd on the surface. What did he mean? What was Apple's identity then?
He positioned Apple at the intersection of technology and the liberal arts. That was the key distinction for him. He saw Apple as creating tools for the mind and soul, things that empowered people to write, to design, to connect, to dream. So it wasn't just about the circuits and code. It was about the human potential those things could unlock. That's why the products often resonate on a deeper level, maybe. It's a more holistic view.
Makes you think about his own background, right? Being adopted, that hunger to prove himself people talk about. Did that feed into this relentless drive, this constant what's next?
Yeah, he felt being adopted taught him early on that, well, life gives you what it gives you. You have to make something out of it. He said it gave him a hunger to prove myself, to create meaning, and maybe feeling a little outside the system, as he put it. He thought that outsider perspective helped him see things differently, challenge the rules, reinvent them even. And that kind of hunger, if it's real, he said it never goes away. Innovation becomes this journey, not a destination, just continuous seeking.
He also had this really distinct view on death, calling it the most powerful motivator. That's quite a perspective. How did that shape his choices, his work?
He genuinely believed remembering you're going to die is clarifying. It helps you stop wasting time living someone else's life. Let go of the small stuff. Worrying about embarrassment, fear of failure, all that fades when you remember life is finite. Life, he felt, is too short for compromises. So that awareness pushed him to say no to things that didn't matter and yes to the few that did. It acted like this profound filter for focusing his energy, his purpose.
Wow. And that incredible drive, fueled by these deep personal things, it resulted in this almost emotional bond people have with Apple products. What did he actually feel seeing people lining up for hours for a new iPhone?
He said he felt humbled, actually. He saw technology often being cold, impersonal. But seeing people treat a product launch almost like a cultural event that told him Apple had succeeded in making technology emotional. They didn't just build products. As he saw it, we built experiences that people want to be part of. He really believed technology could be like magic when it simplifies the complex, letting a grandmother easily FaceTime her grandchild, or a kid learn to code intuitively. That was the goal.
Which brings us to that famous line, the one everyone knows, stay hungry, stay foolish. What did that really mean to him, beyond just a cool phrase from a speech?
For Jobs, it was more than a slogan. It was about a mindset, a commitment to always be learning, always exploring. He defined it as never settle, never stop learning, and never lose that beginner's curiosity. He kept stressing that innovation is a journey, not a destination. The joy isn't just in having the finished thing, but the real joy is in creating, not just consuming.
There's a call to action, really. Resist getting comfortable. Embrace the unknown. Always be looking for what's next, even if it seems a bit foolish. And beyond the public image, the icon, did he share much about his leadership style? Or, personal reflections, maybe even admitting flaws?
He did. He said a great leader's job is to build a team of people smarter than themselves and pushes them to do their best work. Hold the bar high. He knew his passion could come across as harsh, but he felt it came from caring deeply, believing people often needed that push to see their own potential. But what's really interesting is he was also candid about not being perfect. He admitted making mistakes. And he said he learned later in life that ultimately relationships matter more than achievements. That's quite a reflection. He even shared that if he'd had more time, he would spend more of it with family, with loved ones, seeing regrets more as lessons learned.
Thinking about today's world, if you were here now, looking at the tech landscape, what do you think would excite him most?
Based on his perspective, he'd likely be fascinated by the intersection of health and technology. That seems right up his alley. Imagining devices that don't just connect us, but protect our health, predict diseases, extend our lives, that deep human impact potential, and also education reimagining how children learn. Moving beyond rote memorization to sparking real creativity, it all tracks back to that core idea. Technology serving fundamental human needs and potential, the bicycle for the mind, still.
What about something like AI? Artificial intelligence? It's huge now, transformative, but also kind of scary for some people. How might he have viewed AI?
He probably would have seen it as a powerful tool, but like fire, having two sides. It can warm you or burn you, right? The crucial question for him would always be, does it enrich human life? Or does it distract and isolate us? That would be the test. If AI could genuinely enrich life, enhance creativity, solve real problems, he'd embrace it fully. But always circling back to that core belief. Technology alone is meaningless. It needs the human heart, the human spirit to guide it. He'd push for making it human-centric, ethical, ensuring it serves us, not the other way around.
And for young people listening now, maybe dreaming of building something themselves, maybe in a dorm room like he started, what advice would Jobs offer them?
His advice was pretty direct, actually, and powerful. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start. Just start. He stressed that the place doesn't matter. A garage, the dorm room, the basement, these are enough. What really counts? Your vision and your persistence. That's it. He knew the world will always doubt you until you prove them wrong. So the key is just taking that first step. Begin.
Yeah, to start. And building on that, how did he suggest finding the courage to do that, especially when you're facing fear or doubt?
He had some profound thoughts on courage. He suggested you build it by realizing you don't have much to lose. Perspective again. And that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite fear. Acknowledging it, but acting anyway. He also shared that incredibly personal check-in he used. If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do? That was his way to stay aligned with his purpose, keep focused on what truly mattered, and fundamentally trust your gut, your heart and intuition. Because as he famously said, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. You have to trust it'll make sense later. Looking back at this deep dive, it's clear his philosophy was so much more than just business advice. It's really a whole framework. Have a human-centered vision. Find the courage for intuition. Embrace failure as feedback. Have the discipline for that intense focus, that relentless pursuit of great. And maybe most importantly, find the wisdom to live life guided by your own heart, not by what others expect.
It really is inspiring, and it leaves you with that powerful reminder from Jobs. The people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. So thinking about his philosophy, what idea are you holding back right now? Maybe waiting for permission or for everything to be perfect. What's one small step you could take today? Just to follow your intuition, start building something that matters to you, even if it seems a little foolish to others, something to reflect on. We hope this deep dive gave you some fuel for your own journey.